Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good. In today's video, we're going to be doing this coral and grey acrylic set. Now, I have never put these two colours in a set of nails before, but my lovely nail tech friend Emma suggested it, and I'm so glad she did because I was really pleased with how these turned out, and I really did love the two colours together. Now, my coral is a little bit more on the orange side, but I didn't have anything that was more of a true coral in my kit, so I'm definitely going to get myself a couple of coral acrylics, but this was what I come up with for these colours, so I really hope you all enjoy watching. As you can see, I'm working on my Glamerliz practice hand. I've already applied my tips and a clear base, and the acrylic system that I'm using today is from WowBao. So I'm coming in with their grey acrylic to begin with. This one is called Suede, and I just want to place this down at the nail bed area. So I'm working in small beads just to build the cover up and to fade it down. I don't want to fade it down too much because I wanted to make sure I had a glass tip on this nail. So that's why I'm working in quite small beads, just so I can make sure I only apply the acrylic where I want it to go. I did want it to come a little bit further down the nail, so that's why I just popped a small bit there and blended it back before pulling it down. Now I have blended the grey out slightly. It doesn't matter too much because we're going to be coming over the top with glitter anyway, but I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a too harsh line there. Before coming in with my glitter, I did decide to pop down a wash of the coral orange colour that I was going to be using, just so my glitter had a little bit of a background, because I thought it would make it pop a little bit more. Again, because I'm wanting to keep that tip of the nail glass, I'm not feathering this all the way down. I'm just kind of placing it where I want the glitter to be. Now at this point, this does look a little bit crazy and messy, but once you pop that glitter over the top, it looks beautiful. The glitter I'm going to be using today is called Pink Gin, and it's from A&A Glitters. It's such a gorgeous mix. It's full of oranges, golds, corals, some iridescent pieces, some holographic pieces. It's just a really, really pretty mix, and I felt as though it worked with all of the acrylic colours that I'd picked out today. So I'm just placing that down using a small wet bead of clear acrylic, blending it down over the grey and then blending it up into the clear tip. And then I'm just going to pat on a little bit more glitter because I did want there to be full on sparkle. Didn't really want you to be able to see too much of that acrylic that's underneath. I just wanted it there to help pop that glitter. So here you can see I've just come in with a little bit more glitter, blending that back, and then I'm going to very gently, using the tip of my brush, blend it down over that glass tip, again and not taking it to the very edge, so the very edge of the nail is completely clear. Then I'm just patting down all of those glitter pieces, making sure they're lying nice and flat, blending them back if it's needed until I'm happy. And I loved this nail. I thought it looked absolutely beautiful, and this was where I was like, yeah, coral and grey or orange and grey, it definitely works. On to the middle nail, and I wanted to do a marble. So I wanted to use the Suede and the Tangerine, but I also decided I would use Crown Peach and Silver Liquor, I believe it's called. I'll double check and leave all the products in the description box below. So to start off with, I've dipped into the Suede and dipped into the Crown Peach, place that down at the cuticle area just to get a nice neat cuticle line, and then I'm coming in with wet beads of all four of the colours, placing them down on the nail, bringing my brush to a point, and then I'm just going to pull my brush through that acrylic to create the marble effect. Now I absolutely love acrylic marbles, especially when you have a couple of colours in the marble that clash a little. So the Tangerine and the Suede, they just were opposite ends of the colour scale kind of thing. So it really made the Tangerine pop amongst that grey and the silver and the nude. I loved this marble. I was really pleased with how it turned out. Now for this set, I kind of only knew the colours and the glitter that I was going to be using. When it came to doing the actual nails, I was just winging it, and the marble ended up being my favourite nail. So because I'm working quite wet with the acrylic, I'm able to do a fairly thin layer of marble because it does need to be encapsulated. So I'm trying to keep everything application wise as neat as possible. Now I could have left this nail like this and it have been fine, but I wanted to fix up that cuticle area a little bit. So I did just come in with a little bit more acrylic and marble those together. After, I kind of wish I hadn't and I just left it as it was, because I just wasn't 100% happy with how the cuticle area ended up looking, but it is what it is. Just being really careful when I am working in that cuticle area, because if you was working on a client or on yourself, you don't want to get any product on the cuticles or the skin. So this is where I just wasn't very happy with it. So I was just using the tip of my brush to get it as neat as possible. And then I just swirled in a little bit of the tangerine just to create that bit more of a marble effect. I was going to add some of the pink gin glitter to this nail, but because it had that silver shimmery acrylic running through it, I decided not to because I felt like that was enough sparkle. So there we have our marble. On to the ring finger, I'm going to do another kind of ombre. So this time I'm going to use the suede at the tip of the nail. So I'm coming in roughly halfway down the nail, blending that first bead of acrylic back, because whenever you're doing an ombre, you don't want no harsh lines between your two acrylics. So I blended that back and then I'm just painting it down towards the free edge. The WowBao coloured acrylics are designer powders, so I find that they're a little bit easier to work with if you kind of work with them and just paint them on rather than patting and pressing the bead. That's just what I found anyway. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just painting that colour on and building it up until I'm happy with the coverage. So it looked a little bit sheer down at the tip of the nail. So I'm going to come in right at the very tip of the nail, place my bead down and just blend it back. I was working a little bit too wet with it here, if I'm honest. Cleaning up my side walls because then we're going to have less filing to do further along. Now I did leave the grey acrylic to dry ever so slightly before I come in with the nude, just because I then find the ombre a little bit easier to do. But I'm then coming in with a small wet bead of Crown Peach, placing it down right where that grey finishes and just blending it down the nail. I like to work on creating the ombre first of all, especially if I'm ombreing between a darker colour and a lighter colour, because it can be a little bit tricky. So as you can see, by just using a small wet bead, you're able to start creating that fade. I knew that I was going to be coming over this now with some glitter, so I didn't have to worry about my ombre being perfect, but I still wanted to try and get it as neat as possible. So I'm now coming in with that cuticle bead. As you can see, I'm tapping this up into the cuticle area using the very tip of my brush and then using the belly of my brush to fade it down. I don't have to take it all the way down over the grey. I'm just sort of feathering it out so it blends nicely into the grey. And then I'm just going to come in with another bead just to build up the colour on this natural nail bed ever so slightly. The Crown Peach from WowBao is a core powder, so this one doesn't necessarily need to be capped. But of course, because we've done an ombre and we're going to be adding glitter, we are going to fully encapsulate this now anyway. But I did just want to build up the coverage on that natural nail bed area a little bit more. Now, if I was leaving this as just the grey and the nude, I probably would have worked on the ombre a little bit more because it wasn't perfect. But I knew that I was coming over it with some glitter, so I've picked up a small wet bead of clear acrylic, dipped into my glitter, and then I'm just patting and nudging it across that fade, using my brush to just manipulate and move that glitter and acrylic into place. I'm leaving my brush quite full of monomer so that I'm able to push those glitter pieces around easily and just blend them out a little bit so there's not like a harsh line of glitter going across the nail. And I really like these glitter swooshes, especially when they're in a completely different colour to the acrylic colours you've put down. I just think it really makes the glitter pop. Then we're going to move on to the baby finger. So the little finger I'm going to be doing pretty much exactly the same as the pointer finger, but instead of the grey at the cuticle area, we're going to come in with the tangerine. Now this is a super pigmented colour. I only picked up a tiny bead and you can see the pigmentation really goes a long way. So when I'm working with a really pigmented colour on a small part of the nail, I like to just work in small beads. So I placed my first bead down, tapped it up into place at the cuticle area, and then I'm just using another small bead just to build up the coverage. When you're working with these highly pigmented colours, you really don't want to get any on the skin because it can stain. Same goes if you get it on the cuticle as well. So that's why I prefer to work in just small wet beads or small beads. They don't necessarily have to be wet. And then I'm just fading that down the nail. Again, I'm going to be coming in with the glitter like I did on the pointer finger, so it doesn't have to be a perfect fade, but I didn't want to take it all the way down to the tip so that we've got that crystal clear tip at the very edge of the nail. Then I'm just tapping on my glitter again, blending it back into the tangerine and then down into the glass tip. Same as before, keeping my brush nice and wet because then you're able to move that glitter around nice and easily. And this glitter worked absolutely beautiful, I thought, with the tangerine acrylic. I loved how the colours just worked. Obviously, they're both orange shades, but I felt as though the tangerine really brought out the orange in the glitter mix. Then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to leave all of the nails to set. I just thought I would show you guys what the finished design looked like. And then I'm going to come in and encapsulate. So I just left in encapsulating one nail because I did encapsulate them all exactly the same. Now, when I'm working on quite long acrylic nails, I like to start at the tip of the nail and encapsulate that first. So I'm placing my first bead of acrylic down at the tip, walking it down right to the very tip of the nail, making sure that that's built up enough. You do need to make sure that you've got enough acrylic there at the tip of the nail because otherwise it will likely get damaged or snap off. Then I'm just going to work my way up the nail using medium-sized beads of acrylic. So I like to place my bead of acrylic down, blend it back slightly, and then I'm just pushing in those side walls and patting and pulling the acrylic down, blending it over that first bead of acrylic that I applied. Now, me personally, when I'm working on my Glamerliz and I'm doing quite long nails, I like to just encapsulate the design to begin with and then take an overall look at the nail and then add any additional acrylic where it might be needed to build up the strength. Now, obviously, it's not a real person, so I don't need to worry about the apex, etc. too much, but I do still like to make sure I'm practicing good structure. So I will still come in with a small bead of acrylic if it's needed in that apex area once I have fully encapsulated the design. But if I was working on myself or a client, I would be really focusing on making sure that I had built up enough thickness. So here you can see I just added that extra bead just to build up the apex, and then I'm blending it down the nail, making sure the application is as neat as possible. Always check in to see if there is any places that I've missed adding any acrylic so that I can add it in. Off camera, I then went and did that to all of the nails, and then I also did all of the filing, buffing and all of that jazz so that we're ready to jump to top coating. Now I'm top coating this set using the WowBao Diamond Shine top coat. I really love this top coat, especially if you want a crystal clear diamond finish. So I'm just going to apply this to all of the surface of the nails, and then once I've done the surface on the clear tip nails, I'm just going to come in underneath and apply the top coat to where the clear part of the nail is. This is just going to really help it stay crystal clear if you was wearing the set on yourself or if you were doing them on a client. And I loved how this marble turned out. I really loved that silver liquor, glittery, shimmery acrylic running through it. I thought it looked really, really pretty. Now, I had a lot of fun doing this set of nails, and it was really fun having some colours suggested to me because it pushed me out of my comfort zone and it made me put two colours together that I wouldn't necessarily put together, and I really loved how the two colours looked. So if you do have any colour combinations especially, then do pop them in the comments below and I will happily give them a go. I really hope you all enjoyed watching this set of nails. If you did, then let me know in the comments below which nail was your favourite and whether you have done any coral and grey nails. Once I have finished applying that top coat, I will pop these in my LED lamp to cure for 60 seconds, and then I have left a clip showing you guys the finished result. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you're all doing wonderful, and I shall hopefully see you all again in my next video. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.